Thank you. Roger, go ahead.
Okay, let's go. Good afternoon. I'm Roger McCain, CEO of Alchemity. I'm excited to be part of the Alchemity team because I actually honestly believe that Alchemity has breakthrough platform technology that applies to one-step electric generation and one-step liquid petroleum production as well. This platform technology can greatly enhance the way we power and feed the world, while at the same time eliminating greenhouse gases responsible for global warming. Because of the near-term market opportunities, we are focusing today on petroleum production, keeping in mind that the same platform is being developed for very high performance electric power generation. Next slide, please. Let's go to the next. The first problem to be addressed is natural gas flaring from remote well sites. As you can see from this map, which is a composite of actual satellite photos of flaring, flaring is a global issue. Flaring not only produces enormous amounts of carbon dioxide, but also unburned methane, which is 80 times more potent. This has been recognized by the Biden administration and the US EPA and is dramatically tightening regulatory rules for methane emissions. Flaring occurs because remote sites have no alternative for removing natural gas from oil production. They have no means of transporting natural gas and lack the scale for economically viable on-site gas to liquids or gas to chemicals facilities. Virtually all stakeholders, industry, investors, and policymakers are desperately searching for an economic and practical deployable solution to mitigate methane emissions. And now I'll turn it over to Eric.
Thank you. So we've developed a unique solution that converts an environmental disaster to a valuable chemical product. By taking natural gas and flowing it through this membrane reactor you see to the right, the methane is converted into valuable chemicals like ethylene and benzene in a single step. This is what's called gas to chemicals, or has been called gas to liquids. And it's the only technology that can convert natural gas to value-added chemicals without greenhouse gas emissions. And that really is a critical benefit. If you look at the figure, I realize it's kind of complex, but when methane comes through, one of the hydrogens is removed from each of the molecules. They recombine to form hydrogen, which permeates through a membrane and is combusted or oxidized by a simple air sweet gas. That combustion reaction of hydrogen to water provides all the energy necessary for this reactor to work. So literally, there are no greenhouse gas emissions. We take natural gas and we can convert it to very valuable chemicals, billion-dollar chemicals like ethylene and benzene in a single step. The benefit of this was recognized, for example, by the American Chemical Society, where they published the article. You see the headline below: reactor converts methane to heavier hydrocarbons without forming CO2. And this really is a tremendous breakthrough. We've published it in numerous scientific journals, and also we have multiple patent applications as shown below, and patents as shown below. Next slide. Not only can it do that in a single step, but this process intensification and modularization can dramatically reduce the capital cost. So rather than having multiple steps in what's called a gas to liquid process, which is shown on the right, the blue arrows, for example, of each of the individual steps, and then the various different capital equipment that are required in the lower right, we can do it in a single step, which is the circle on the left. And that dramatically reduces the capital risk and reduces the scale of the size of the reactor required to achieve this. It is the only gas to chemical technology that can economically scale down for remote site applications, which were the applications that Roger showed on the map. We've had multiple commentaries, such as the one here by Shell, where they say that the one-step methane upgrading prospect would be significant interest for any company flaring or venturing in an industrial process and any company looking to breaking up hydrocarbons. Every chemical company has an R&D outfit that's been trying to do this for decades, and we're the first ones that have been able to do it. Next slide. Now, our first market entry is just a simple modular reactor based on reactor tubes we've already demonstrated in my lab at a reasonable scale. All we really have to do is bundle them together to have multiple tubes in a single stainless steel housing and start deploying it at these wellheads that were shown again by the map on the first slide there. The Bureau of Land Management has now regulated or is implementing regulations that will require this type of reactor on all federal lands. And they estimate this corresponds to $33 million a year in royalties for this one application alone. Again, this is of a size that we can make at our facility for Alchemity and start deploying to various different well companies that operate these wells for their operation. But this is just the first platform technology. It has numerous other opportunities for larger scale gas to chemicals. For example, carbon-free hydrogen production or CO2 plus production. CO2 plus is the combination of ethylene and benzene and other hydrocarbons. We will partner with major chemical companies, and as mentioned, we are a Shell Game Changer Award winner because of the technology and the impact that a major chemical company like Shell has identified. In addition, we have a number of other technologies. We can produce ammonia, we can produce electric power, we can produce hydrogen, etc. All of these are further technologies. We have some slides to this in the appendix, but I'm not going to cover it here. Next slide.
This chart shows Alchemity funding and revenue over the next 5 years. The blue bars are non-dilutive funding, orange is pre-seed and seed investment, and green and yellow are revenue. Alchemity, as you can see from this, Alchemity is a very early stage startup company. In 2023, $1 million pre-seed funds are targeted for standing up the company and initial facilities. 300,000 of this is from TEDCO MII for transitioning from University of Maryland as a facility is stood up. Not shown on this chart is revenue from a recent $4 million ARPA-E Phase 2 award. In 2024, 6 million seed funds are targeted for scaling up the facilities and staffing. First revenue is generated in 2025 with joint development agreements and initial membrane reactor sales. In 2026 to 2028, 10 million Series A funds are targeted for manufacturing scale up as Alchemity adds other markets, as Eric has mentioned. Increased revenue in 2027 and 28 arises from continued revenue growth in the remote oil market, but then also more sales in the market in other markets such as hydrogen and liquid petroleum products. Excuse me. Next slide, please. Here you can see the Alchemity management team. Dr. Eric Waxman is the executive director and founder. All of us have extensive leadership experience in energy R&D, product development, and business formation and operation. We are truly very excited about the business potential and global benefit of Alchemity's breakthrough platform technology for power generation and one-step petroleum production, starting, of course, with what we've described, the conversion of flared natural gas to transportable liquid products. Thank you for your attention.